A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional.
Hello, welcome back to Oversharing. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Dr. Naomi Bernstein.
How's it going?
Going good. Coming off the weekend. It was a pretty slow weekend, so I felt really good. I did a lot of cleaning and organizing, and it was kind of bittersweet. We've always had like a toy room in our house upstairs, and it's been just cluttered with toys that the kids don't really play with toys anymore.
Not even Brooks?
Yeah, I mean,
when do toys become
you
over?
know, it makes me sad. I'm sad even thinking about it. I feel like in some way, some of these toys require some level of imagination that I just think is like pretend play that I think he doesn't. Well, that's not true. He'll engage in pretend play if he's pretending to be like in the NFL, or he's pretending to be a hockey player, but he doesn't, we had lots of figures and figurines and action figures and little doll houses. And so we don't use any of that. And I think I was clinging to it a little bit, like, oh, maybe one day they'll just want to use this stuff again. I didn't get rid of everything. I kept some stuff, but if I'm being honest, he's into screens and video games and playing sports. That's it for Brooks. And the girls don't really play with toys. But what I do like about it is we have a pretty large space, and I cleared it all out, and now they'll play like ball up there. They'll play like monkey in the middle, or they'll play, personally, for all you ex-volleyball players out there, I put a rebounder up there, and a rebounder, it's like a bounce back. It's like you can throw a ball at it and it bounces back to you. So if you want to play catch by yourself, basically. But anyone out there who is a volleyball player, former volleyball player, probably knows the game Pepper, which is like where two people go back and forth doing like bump set spike. And so I can do that by myself with my rebounder. So that sometimes is like part of my exercise routine. And now I have all this space. So it's more of like a movement space. And he just likes to move. He doesn't like to sit and play with a toy. So we cleared it out, and I really like the space. I think they really like it. I called our sister Talia to just be like, show her the space and be like, look what I did. She's like, what a Grinch. That's so depressing. Where are all the toys? Mm-hmm. Like she was like, but they really like it better like this, which is,
I think anything off a screen is like kind of all things equal.
Thank you.
I would imagine.
That's what I like to think of it as, like, It's a movement space. They can play, like Brooks will have friends over and they'll kind of like wrestle around on the floor in there. And I don't have to, part of it was he was having friends over and they were like wrestling or running or playing ball. And then there was like this little mini foosball thing. It wasn't like it was just like a, whatever. It had sharp corners, and I was just like, someone's going to smash their head on this. Let's just clear this whole room out, and you guys can run around in it. So
I think it's good that you accepted the new phase.
Yes.
Probably less clutter.
I'm going to send you a picture. I'm so relaxed with it.
We have so many emails, probably like 100 emails of people complaining about like their mother-in-laws or other people just bringing too many toys or like random shit into their house.
Yes.
So
it's
you are not alone.
Thing. That's where 75% of this stuff came from. Like my mother-in-law brought them this mini foosball table that they played with like 3 times. And even though it's mini, it takes up so much space. It has sharp edges. She didn't say, hey, do you think the kids would like this? She just gifted it to them. Amongst many small little, I get it. It's a grandma's way of showing love, and it takes 3 clicks on Amazon. to get a bunch of junk and then give it to the kids, and then the parent has to deal with it.
And then feel like you're like, you know, they get excited when they see it. Yeah.
Yes. So I finally, after 13 years of collecting random stuff, brought out like 6 bags to the garbage. So that felt really nice. But yeah, there was a little sadness in throwing away some of this old stuff. Time keeps marching, and
You can now give all that stupid shit that no one wants to my kids.
yes. Oh, I could go back through the bags. I could get all the goodies out.
Yeah.
It's too bad you live too far away, but
Yeah. And you speak about it so fondly. It really makes me want all of it.
no, I will try to give thoughtful. I think, I mean, you know, the holiday gift season is over, but I'm a big fan of experience gifts because they don't take up space. It's a fun thing to do. It feels a little lame to give someone like a rock climbing gift card, because there's something about like opening a present for a kid, which is, I think, what the grandparents want to see, is like they're opening this present and they get to see it right then. There's an instant gratification, but then a long-term dumping.
But there's an instant gratification to like I'm taking you to the basketball game,
right?
Or
totally,
like, at least when you're going,
totally,
to an extent.
But I guess if it's
agree.
Christmas, you're not going that day, so that's the annoying part. Is like you want to give the gift, but then you're not going to. You have to wait to actually book the thing.
Yeah, no, Christmas season does, and again, we're now in like the end of February, but
yeah,
it does kind of make me feel like the older I get, I think, or like even on my birthday or any occasion where I'm getting stuff, like it does, the older I get, the less joy I feel from receiving like a physical gift.
Right.
I think an experience is like such a better thing. And I think some people, I think that's just for me. And some people actually like really love getting like a thoughtful bag or clothing article or like new shoes or something like that. And even when I buy that stuff for myself, I like, or even when I'm ordering it online, like it feels, there's like a little excitement when I order it or when I like first get it. And then it's like gone very,
very quickly. Yeah. And then you have this, you have this clutter. And I do get it, because once I cleaned out, I mean, I went on a spree. I did that. I did a couple of closets. I cleaned off the kitchen counters that had so much crap. There is like a soothing feeling, because every time you look at the items there also is, I think, for people that are partnered, there is like one person whose job it is to find the place for all the things that are laying around. So it just feels like a reminder of a task undone constantly when you have lots of cluttery items around. So,
and you don't use so many.
Right? Yeah. It feels so calming to just have clean space. So bright side, but a little depressing, if I'm being honest. Different, moving into that new phase.
That's just like the, I think we've talked about this book before, the life-changing magic of tidying up.
Yes.
It's like, it feels really good. You like thank the item for everything it gave you.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot that part.
Just throw it. You just toss it right in the, in the garbage.
Maybe I would feel better if I did it in a more thanked way.
If you thanked everything,
the items, I just dumped them in a bag.
Right. And this book is like ruthless. I told you, she's like, if you've got like a bunch of developed pictures, you keep like one from like every occasion you want to.
Yeah, that's intense. All right. Well, that was my weekend. Anything interesting on your end, or should we get to other people's problems?
Let's get into some other people's issues.
Why not? Let's do it.
You guys have some issues as always. All right. Let's get into our first email. But before we do that, we have if you want to leave a voicemail, you can call 646-363-6294, or you can email us at oversharing@betches.com. Send us all your emails. We love getting these emails. They're always so interesting and I think like relatable. So thank you to the listeners for writing in. Also, if you want to subscribe to this podcast, you can get every episode a day early and ad free And you get 2 bonus episodes a month, every second and fourth Thursday of the month. Or you can join one of Dr. Naomi's therapy groups.
Yes, come find us, naomibernstein.com. Pretty much everyone that, reaches out within a few weeks, I can usually find you a group. So, that works for your schedule, depending on how much flexibility you have. But come find us. It's a great space. We love having new group members. It really is amazing to see how curious people are. Like when someone new joins, everyone really is looking forward to getting to know them and so happy to hear them share and get involved. It's just a place where people want to hear what you are really going through and not the niceties of, what you're supposed to say when people say, "How are you?" It's like, this is the place where you really say how you're really doing, and everyone's there for it and wants to hear it. So come join us, naomibernstein.com. Yeah. And subscribe. I save all of my own therapeutic stuff for the subscription episodes. So,
yes, you can hear us be triggered.
Yes, exactly. Get to do a little bit more of that.
And then you guys can rank our triggers.
Oh, that would be a good one.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, you can leave it in the comments what you think our triggers are. But yeah, we'll have 2 new bonus episodes every month. Let's get into our emails. I'll read our first overshare.
All right.
Hi, Dr. Naomi and Jordana. I'm writing for guidance about my mom and her driving. I come from a big family. Some siblings live near her, while others, including me, live far away. My mom is a wonderful mom and grandma, but she's always been a terrible driver, and in the past few years, it has gotten worse. In the last year, she's had several minor accidents, like backing into parked cars and fender benders, which really upset and stress her out. Recently, she's been talking about wanting a newer car with more safety features, which she likely can't afford. I helped her financially with her current car a few years ago, so this has been stressful to hear. I also keep wondering whether a new car would actually solve the problem or just mean a more expensive car is involved in the same accidents. I've considered whether suggesting a trial period without a car might make sense. She doesn't drive far or often, has friends and family nearby, and ride shares are easy to access and possibly cheaper than car insurance at this point. That said, I worry about taking away her sense of independence. I also worry about what this would mean for my siblings who live close by and how much responsibility would fall on them to drive her places and whether that's fair or sustainable. How do you talk to a parent about their driving without making them feel criticized or defensive? Is it reasonable to suggest driving less or not at all, or am I overstepping? I'd really appreciate your advice on how to navigate this. Thank you. Give my mom a driver's test badge. That's funny. She wants someone else to take the license away.
Yes.
So have to do it.
Yes. I do think people would be annoyed, but it is kind of crazy that you just get your driver's license when you're 17 and that's it.
Right.
You can go through health issues and all types of different things and cognitive decline. And I get it. They don't want to come in and start taking all the grandma's driver's licenses away. It feels kind of cruel, but
maybe a road test every 30 years.
Right. Every 30 years. And then not even take it away, but you have to take a refresher class or something,
yes.
Or you have to do something to just kind of get a little instruction or refresher before you can get back on the road.
Or the insurance companies could mandate it if you have like she says, she's several accidents. If I were an insurance company, I'd be like, I'll insure you if you retake the road test.
Right.
Or something.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, that could be a good segue for her, is especially if if the mom is asking the listener for help with this car. I think maybe especially if she's going to be contributing financially to it, which she did to her last one, she could say something like, a couple of things I think she can do to talk to her about this. One is be curious and just kind of lay all the options on the table with her mom. Seems like you had this thing, it really stresses you out, you have to get it fixed. And one option is to get an updated car that has these backup cameras. I know my car has a thing where if you get too close, it automatically brakes for you, which some people hate, but I could see in this situation, maybe that being helpful.
I love it. As someone who's not that great of a driver, I like that feature. It works for me all the time.
Yeah. So you might have been grandma if not for that. Like you might have knocked into a couple of things.
For sure.
So I don't think that genuinely might help if a lot of what she's doing is like little backup bumping into things. I do think it genuinely might be helpful, but I think she can lay out the question as kind of like, okay, here are our options. One, you want this newer car, but maybe you can, take this course to offset the cost and it'll bring your insurance down. I'm sure any driving class you take probably brings your insurance down.
I've taken ones that have done that.
Then that's a way to get her to take a driving class, which just might make her a little bit more aware and vigilant and refreshing all the rules of the road and reaction time. And so that's an option. Or she could say, do you still like driving? It seems like it's really like I would open this up at first as just like a dialogue.
Right. Because I would imagine even if she doesn't like driving, there's probably a sense of like, if I stop driving, does this mean I'm like on the way out?
Yeah.
Not even like almost so much independence, but just more like, I can't drive. I'm not going to be driving anymore for the rest of my life. Like there's like
it's like another phase, like throwing out all the toys. It's like getting rid of my car. It's like a different phase of life.
Probably feels very existential, I would imagine. Yeah. Maybe she doesn't know how easy it is to get an Uber. A lot of older people don't.
Right.
Or a ride share or something like that. There's probably a sense of that. I don't know the independence thing. I guess I kind of get, but like if you can call an Uber whenever you want, you're still pretty independent.
I do think it's more like, what does this mean than the actuality of, especially if she's going locally in town. It's really nice. I've had this with my mother-in-law where I keep thinking like, I need to just sit down with her and like order an Uber with her, which never really happens. Cause you're like, if I'm here, why am I ordering you an Uber? Right. But it's kind of going through the process together and like actually sitting down, showing her how to do it, like getting to the point of where she actually like gets in the Uber and goes to the place where she wants to go and then calls it. I'd have to like spend 2 hours going to the grocery store with her in an Uber, which feels like, when am I ever going to really want to do that when we can just drive? But I think that's kind of what might be helpful in this situation is like just doing it with them one time so they see exactly how it works. And then she might be like, yeah, that actually was really great and easy. And it was like $8 to get to the grocery store, or whatever it is. It maybe feels worth it to her not to have to deal with it. But if you don't even know, then it feels like, oh, what a big deal. And I have to, whatever it is. So
yeah. And maybe there's also like a guilt that she lives further away and the other siblings live closer. I think she could talk to the siblings who live closer and be like, what do you think of this plan also?
Totally.
Like, could you, if she needs to go somewhere where it's more, I don't know what situation that would be. If there's like occasional times you could drive her places, how would you feel about that?
Yeah, I definitely think the first step, because it is sensitive, she's right. Like you said, I think it feels like now I'm at the end of my life. Like I'm one of those people that can no longer drive. So I do think it's a sensitive topic. She's right. And I would just start it off as like, you seem stressed about this. Here are some options that I've thought about. And one of them being the new car with the new safety features. That's one of them. Other ones being like taking a driver's course, learning how to use Uber, and seeing what she has to say. She might not be as opposed, especially I think there is this human nature piece where you don't want to be told or forced or pushed. It feels better if she feels like it's her idea.
No, I agree. Let her suggest it.
Or you like lay all the options out there and let her, see what she does with that. But I do think worst case, these new cars with these safety features, like even when you're changing lanes, it'll like stop you from changing lanes if there's a car in that spot. So it might actually help.
Right. I get to how she's like, it might actually help, but I'm going to be the one paying for this new car. And if it doesn't, then I've already committed to a however many years long lease.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
So I get where
like
she's like, okay,
if
it was like
trial.
Yes, that she's paying for. And if the mom can't afford it herself, it's like, I can see why because ordinarily it's kind of like you can suggest something. And if the person doesn't, I see what kind of position she's in, because she's like, I am sure part of her is like, well, why do I have the right to tell my mom she can and cannot drive? But if she's paying, I do think there's a sense of like, I understand you want to try this.
Right.
I don't know if I'm down for the experiment on my dime.
Yep. Yeah. This is hard. Aging parents are hard. It's hard to feel like that role reversal where you're turning into the parent and your parent's turning into the child. That's like an odd thing that does tend to happen, and it's uncomfortable for everybody. So I really feel you on this, but I would start it with just an open-ended, what do you think some options are? I've thought of these options. What are some options that you think? And then not an easy position.
All right, let's do a betch assist. Do you want to read this one?
All right, I will read this. Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. Big fan of the show. Been a listener since day one. I have a betch assist for you. My husband and I recently bought tickets to see Nate Bargatze, a popular comedian, if you've never heard of him. We bought tickets with another couple who we have gone to see him with before. We bought the cheapest tickets because we just don't typically splurge on things like this, and neither do our friends. We're still very excited to go see our favorite comedian with our friends, as this isn't something we usually do because we have a 1-year-old and we don't do many date nights. Fast forward to Christmas morning and we open up 2 tickets to see Nate Bargatze from my mother-in-law. But these seats are way better than the ones we bought, like probably at least triple what we paid, if not more. Here's my dilemma. I kind of want to go sit in the good seats, but is that terrible to leave our friends behind? Could we go to dinner with them before and walk in together, but then part ways to our separate seats? We will end up selling one set of tickets either way, but I'd really love to get the chance to sit up close since that's not something we usually do. But I can't help this nagging feeling that our friends will be upset that we're ditching them. My mom suggested that I just ask them if they would care if we sat in the better seats, but I feel like they will say no either way, even if they would be upset. My husband's leaning towards just sitting with our friends and selling the tickets from his mom, but then I would feel bad selling the gifted tickets from his mom too. What do you guys think we should do? Thanks, a selfish mama.
She's got to sit with the people that she went with. I think it's weird to like be like, I got these better seats. See you later. I would sell the good seats and use them to go see him, use the money to buy seats to go see him a different time or someone else a different time and get really good tickets to something else. Like the mother-in-law will know that you sold them, or like she might not even care.
And you're still I think it would honor the gift if you use the money to go buy good seats to something else. Then it's kind of like, okay, in the spirit of the gift, if you use it for groceries, then it's like, which is fine. I'm not saying that you're evil if you do that, but it would be nice to kind of say, okay, you wanted to get us good seats to something we like. So we already have tickets to this. We're going to use it for good seats to something else. That being said, it depends on how good of a friend it is. I think you can mention to the friend, hey, we got these seats. I mean, you're not really talking during a show. Anyway, you're kind of just sitting together. It's not like you're having conversation, but it is fun to look over when something's really funny and like make eye contact and like enjoy the experience together.
Guess. I do feel like you committed to like the act. Then why even buy the tickets together?
Right. You committed to going to the show together. Right.
I think I would feel a little weird if we bought tickets with friends to a show and then we walked in and they were like, see ya.
Right.
Like I wouldn't like be mad, but I would think like, okay, this is sort of an activity that we planned together
from the beginning. It's not like you bought tickets and then they bought tickets kind of like near you-ish, but not like if you bought tickets and they bought tickets like 2 rows back to try to be kind of close together, then I think we're not sitting really together anyway. Like I'm going to use the seats. I think your plan is great. I would sell the expensive tickets, get the money, and then go on a really fun date night alone to whatever you want to do together and have the splurge of sitting up close. Also, I personally feel if I'm going to get really good seats to something, it's not going to be a comedy show because like
I was going to say that. Yeah.
You can hear it. Like you can hear
the same joke either way.
It's the same joke, whether you're close or far. I would rather see like a concert up close because you can see them playing their instruments. You can like
dancing,
see the costume and the dancing and like the whole theatrics of it. A comedian is just a human standing with a microphone and saying jokes.
I was going to say that too. It's like I don't really feel like the jokes are funnier if you're closer to the comedian.
Right.
Unless you're like in one of those small like comedy clubs.
And then you get like picked on.
Right. Yeah. And some people like that.
Right.
Like you could be like part of the show.
Right.
I don't really think that happens with a comedian of his size doing like a set that I assume is probably going to be televised at some point. If it's in like a theater, I don't think you're getting that different of an experience.
Interaction. Totally. I guess if you're a little starstruck and you want to be able to see like what color his socks are, like the pimple on his cheek, because you're like, oh, wow, we're in person. But yeah, I would use this for a music show or a Cirque du Soleil or something where like being closer is really important part of the show.
I agree. I think she'd also just feel weird.
The whole night is going to take a different tone. I mean, I personally wouldn't care. I think that's why I'm saying like if you and I were going to a show together and you were like, oh my God, my mother-in-law gave me seats in the third row. Like we're going to go to dinner first. And then when we walk in, we're going to go to our third row seats. I personally wouldn't care.
I know. I think it would still I think you would feel weird doing it though, to me, if it were you.
Yeah. Oh, of course. I would feel like exactly how she feels. Like this is a little awkward. Probably not worth it because this is your night with your friends. Then do your date night a different night.
I agree. Well, what do you think if you're flying with Jeff and one person gets upgraded?
I'd be thrilled for him to take the upgrade.
Would you take the upgrade?
That would feel different because I don't think he would. We're different. Like he would not be into sitting separately and me taking an upgrade. I would love someone can get it. Like I personally wouldn't care about that type of thing.
Yeah.
I know Jeff would probably care, which is why I would quickly give him the upgrade, but I don't think he would take that either.
Yeah. I mean, what if you were going to a comedy show with Jeff and you got one free amazing ticket?
Yeah, I guess that is different because you're like going on a date together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think it's just different when you're alone watching a comedy show versus like in a couple. I wouldn't care, but I could see how some people would. I could see how it makes the whole night not feel like a double date. We're doing this together.
Then you regroup after, you talk about what was funny, what wasn't, but like you're probably not going to go find them after the show.
Right. Then then you have to find each other.
Totally
you can't walk out
section.
together. Yeah. I like your plan. Let's hear, write back in and let us know what you actually go to see. Sell the tickets.
Hopefully the show is sold out and you get a ton of money.
Yeah, totally. That would be awesome.
Yeah. And if I were the mother-in-law, I wouldn't care if someone sold them, I think, if they already had tickets.
Yeah. And I think if you want to be honest with her, if she's like, going to ask you how the show was, I think it would be very reasonable to just be perfectly honest with your mother-in-law. We actually already had tickets with friends. So we're going to sell these and we're planning to go see X. And
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to tell you all about it.
Agreed. Especially because she says in the beginning of the email, like, we don't really care that much about having the best seats.
Well, they weren't going to, I get it. She was like, yeah, it's a chance. That is a good gift. Like we're talking about a gift, a great gift is like something that you wouldn't spend money on for yourself. Like if you really want certain sweater or whatever, you probably can just get it for yourself. This is like, I would never splurge to sit in the third row at anything. Someone else splurged for me. I get why she wants to do it, but yeah, do it for a different show.